The Bible isn't explicit about penalty substitution. Justice is about peace, meaning no contradiction among people and God. Think about that logical definition. True justice is not PS made up punishment justice. The real need is removal of the sin for believers, and people feel it, although PS confuses it. Wrath passages are always for those outside of God's family. That's justice for enemies, not those connected with God. Justice treats family different. One glory is mercy, the other severity. Needs be no overlap. Because of the cross, anyone may be released of their contradiction. He already paid his death, so you can now receive that in your mind. We should separate from penalty substitution because it's not easily purified, and it tries to take over the gospel. If you agree with PS, then PS will become the most important thing, and it's not even in the Bible explicitly. Fortunately, they use a lot of verses from the Bible, otherwise they trick people so easily. Numbers chapter 5 shows us that the recompense, I'm thinking of the principle, is different than the atoning sacrifice. But you probably won't find a verse about sacrifice being for recompense. It's not mixed. You see, there's real justice and fake PS justice. Real justice keeps God and people at peace, meaning without contradicting each other. You best think of justice in terms of logic before extending to legal relational framework. Why? Because logic is how we communicate. It's on a more basic level. And guess who? We see this real justice in the Bible. Redeem and ransom, for example, are mentioned 25 times. There's plenty of passages about removing the sin, that is, taking away the contradiction by his death. He dies with them, but unlike them, gets back up. But fake PS justice, despite leeching off the same verses, is about making sure every sin gets punished. That's not necessary. In fact, the Bible seems clear that retributive wrath is reserved for unbelievers, and there's no means to give them. Penalty substitution is not just a penalty, but also a substitution. Redeem and ransom are more like releasing for a fee. The fee was Jesus' death. Jesus had to bury our sin, so he carried them in his body to get them nailed to the cross. Unlike them, he got back up. The animal sacrifices showed that they were not substituting because the person would put their sin on the lamb. This was to remove the sin by death or else taking out of the camp. I don't think it's necessary to now go into the second half of the atonement where Christ offers himself to God to give us his Spirit. The Bible's Christ. But suffice to say that we should not add PS to the Bible, or else it will inherently require a takeover of the gospel. Complete photobomb. Purge the leaven.